The Democratic Republic of the Congo has suffered nearly 2 decades of armed conflict and unrest. To date, more than 3 million Congolese have been displaced.
When the soldiers are coming, the people that before they reach where we was, they just ran. And when they are running, it was disorder, and they say the soldiers are coming. Then we have to move.
The story of Charles Kayumbi and Marceline Kilongo is first and foremost the story of a family's continued drive and determination. Their journey spans more than a decade of endurance, of resolve, and of devotion to their family.
My name is Charles Kayumbi. I'm married to Marceline Kilongo. She's my wife, and I have with her 4 kids.
In 2002, Charles and Marceline were living in the city of Kalime, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, with their twin daughters Martha and Sarah and baby girl Eden, when the war neared their home, forcing them to flee. Charles and his family embarked on what would be a harrowing international trek through dangerous, war-ravaged areas of the Congo and across the country of Zambia. They made their way nearly 3,500 kilometers, roughly the driving distance from Windsor to Vancouver, to the United Nations refugee camp in Namibia.
And I lived there, it was since 2004 till 2013 when I moved there and come here in Canada.
For 9 long years, Charles and his family called the Osia refugee camp home, a former South African detention center with a crowded population exceeding 20,000 occupants. 9 years during which they were forced to build a new home and new traditions in a temporary settlement on foreign soil. 9 years during which they constantly sought to secure sufficient food and necessities for their children, which now included a 4th daughter, Naomi, born inside the camp.
In the camp, my women must work very hard to go to cut firewood, to cook, to look some food for their children.
When you don't have where to cook, you have to go in the farm. Because they was thinking maybe, because they are in the farm there was just a cow and a goat. They was thinking maybe they want to steal or whatever, and they can kill you. But that was not what you want. You just want firewood. That. And even if my wife went there, I was afraid. I said, I pray God so that she can come back safely.
If you can't make it, your children will suffer.
For nearly a decade, Charles and Marceline labored tirelessly to ensure a safe and healthy life for their growing children. The United Nations eventually offered Charles and his family 3 options: to return to their home, to remain and be integrated in Namibia, or to be resettled to an unknown country at an unknown time.
And we choose to be resettled. So we chose resettlement, and the procedure went very well.
Each stage of Charles and Marceline's application took years to complete. The initial decision to resettle was made and applications were submitted in 2006. 4 years later, in 2010, Charles and his family were interviewed for suitability and eligibility. Nearly 2 years after that, in 2011, the United Nations invited them to a second suitability assessment. Immigration Canada interviewed the family one final time and conducted health screenings. Finally, in the spring of 2013, 7 years after the initial application, the now family of 6 received word that they would be permanently moving to Canada.
When I hear that I will come to Canada, I was very excited. With my family, we jumped. We said, thank you, God. Now we leave this camp and going to Canada. We just celebrate that day.
9 years after fleeing from their home in fear, after living nearly a decade as refugees, Charles and Marceline were given 7 days to prepare for their trip across the world. They had 5 connecting flights en route to their new home.
The last destination, it was Windsor. Then when we came in Windsor, that date was the 24th April 2013.
Charles and his family made both English language training and formal education a priority for their children as well as themselves.
My first twin, she told me, Mama, I want to be a nurse. Then I said, yes, if you go to Canada, you're going to achieve your dream. Now my children, they're in St. Clair.
With twin daughters Sarah and Martha attending the pre-nursing program at St. Clair College, Eden attending Catholic Central, and Naomi at William G. Davis Elementary School, the family set their sights on other dreams.
When I came to Canada, my dream was I must open an African store.
And when we came here, she just told me that I will open a big store here in Canada.
Both parents completed language proficiency programs, with Charles continuing on to advanced English training. Charles then enrolled and graduated from a post-secondary social work program, and Marceline completed her studies as a personal support worker. Thanks once again to their determination, persistence, and strict budgeting, Marceline's dream is now a reality. MK African and Caribbean Store has now been in business for just over a year and is looking to expand to a second location. Charles is currently employed in manufacturing at AP Plasman and is applying his skills and passions to assist other newcomers to the area.
So I was thinking when we were in the airplane, when we reach in Canada, who will help us here in Canada? But when we arrived just at the airport, I see the MCC staff come there, help me in many things. And I decided to be volunteer also to MCC so that I can help other newcomers the way they help me.
Where many would be consumed by frustration over bureaucracy and missing moments, Charles remains optimistic, enthusiastic, and encouraged.
One day I must go to Canada because I love Canada, and my my dream come true.
The story of Charles and Marceline is a tale of time. Time lost tragically and time spent responsibly. Time treasured with family and time invested in the future.
Everything has the time. There is time for suffering, time to be good. There is time to share tears, and there is time to rejoice.
Tonight, we stand and recognize the indomitable spirits of two individuals and the perseverance, optimism, and positive example they provide to our community. Presenting the 2019 Inspire Award winners, Mr. Charles Kayumbi and his wife, Mrs. Marceline Kilongo.